So today we are going to be doing an arm-focused workout. And I had a question come in from the first pancake asking about how to do preacher curls with the resistance bands. So I thought about it for a bit and I think I have a solution. So if that sounds like content you want to see more of, hit that like button for me, helps support the channel and lets me know you want more of content like this. So for a preacher curl using resistance bands, there's two main important things we want to think about. Is for a preacher curl, you need something supporting underneath your arm. So, and usually that should be padded so it's not going to be a problem on your elbow. And the other thing is you want the force pulling perpendicular to your arm at the most lengthened part. That just means the force is going directly, sort of forming an X. So if you think about an arrow pointing down with gravity, or if it's a resistance band, the band should be pulling perpendicular to your arm. So if it's like this, I want the band pulling at an angle. So for that, what I did is I took just a piece of pipe insulation for padding. This is just PVC pipe insulation. I put it on this band peg, because normally it's steel. This way it gives me a little bit of padding for my arm. Now, when I'm here, resting against that, I want the band to actually be pulling this direction, because if I'm like this, I want the band to be pulling down and away from that. So I'm actually gonna bring this up just a notch. So I want the band to be pulling down at an angle, because I'm actually gonna be out like this. So to do that, I've actually put a peg down here so that when I'm most extended, the band is pulling directly away from that. And that will get you a preacher curl with resistance bands. So go in here. So when I'm most extended, the band is pulling me straight back. And I'm gonna pull up and then back down. And that'll get you a preacher curl with the bands. So the tricky part about this is having something you can attach it to and still have a gap for that pad. So that's one thing with chairs. You might need a backless chair or just one with a space at the lower back so you can thread the band through. And something with thick enough padding so you could roll up a towel and do that way. Same thing with the other side. Go in here, pull it up. Now if the padding is too thin, you could roll up that towel, because you don't want it digging into the back of your elbow. There's not a whole lot of nerve there, or there's not a whole lot to block the nerves there. And now if you need to, you can put your arm a little bit lower where it's more on the resting on the tricep as well, to give you a little bit more padding. Sorry if that's a little loud. That's how I would do a preacher curl using a resistance band. So I tried doing it with the band anchored to this post out to here, but I found it's just a little bit too much tension where I'm worried about snapping the band or about hyperextending my elbow a little bit too much. So I wanted something that was close enough to this where I'd have tension all the way through, but wouldn't have so much tension that the band is extended, doubling its length. If you look right here, I've got tension right here, But if I'm really trying to extend this out all the way here, the band's not really designed to go that distance. So try and find something where you just start to feel tension at the start of the movement. Because out to here, if I try and, this is about the limit of what the band should be. If I'm going past that, it risks snapping the band. So, for these, I'm gonna go to actually a heavier band, I think. So I do use that for a warm-up weight, and then move to a heavier for a working set. I like this because it gets tension at the most extended part of the movement, where that bicep and brachialis are at their max tension. You can even lean back a little bit to add to that. And same thing on the other side. The only awkward thing is having to work around that post. So it's hard to see because it's black on black for the band, but it's pulling back at an angle. So at the most extended part, let's see if I can go this way so you can see it. So at the most extended, the band is pulling me directly backwards. That's the most important part of this. If it's pulling down like this, if I was to do it like this, it's actually just pulling on the ligaments and the structures in my arm, not the muscles. So I'm not really benefiting nearly as much. If I can angle it backwards like this, at the most extended, it's pulling directly against the muscles. And that's what I really like for the preacher curl for this. So having the pad underneath your elbow and then another anchor point back at an angle. So it's kind of funny, back in high school, I took trigonometry and I thought, am I ever gonna use this? And then I got into college, and biomechanics is all trigonometry. So, turns out, joke's on me on that one. All of biomechanics was just trig with sine and cosine, tangent, angles, all of that. So, think about perpendicular is directly pulling back through my arm. So it'd be, rather than parallel, be pulling perpendicular to my arm is what you want. That's what's gonna get you an effective preacher curl. Now I like to do 5 sets of these to really emphasize the bicep. And I'm doing somewhere around 10 reps. So I'm gonna go for a heavy enough band where 10 reps is a challenge. And then switch to the other side. So I'm putting my elbow right on that pad. Now there are probably more involved pieces of equipment you can get for this. But for me, I already had this. It's just a cheap piece of PVC pipe insulation that fit right around the band pegs I already own. So rather than getting a whole new piece of equipment, I'm just using what I have, which nothing wrong with using a better piece of equipment or a more specialized piece, but don't let that stop you if you have something that will work. I think it's better to do a workout with what you have than skip a workout because you don't have the piece of equipment. I think what I'm going to do in just a second here, let me just finish this set. I'm just going to move over to this side, do the same thing on the other side. That way I don't have to worry about dealing with this post. So I'm going to just pull out this. I like this rack because it's numbered. Right, 17, it's one higher actually. So I can get the same on each side really easily. Now, if you don't have a rack or something like this you can anchor to, you could do a chair, something you could put a pad up on the top for. You just want the band pulling back at an angle. So if you need to, you could step on the band with one foot behind the other, but you need something where you can have the band pull through. So you'd put this foot back to anchor it, and then having something padding your elbow. Yeah, that works a lot better. That way I can just switch this pad over, anchor the band low, and go straight into a third set. So for an exercise like this, well, one side's working, the other side's resting. And I really like that for doing arm work. That way I don't need to stop at any point. I can just keep on going. And doing biceps is not really cardiovascularly intense, not stressing my heart and my lungs. I can do a lot of work building up the biceps and not have to worry about being limited by having to take breaks, so I can get a very quick workout in and really work the biceps a lot. That's why I like to do 5 sets per side. But whatever works for you. Now, the most important thing is I'm trying to go as straight as I can. This is targeting the muscle underneath that bicep, that brachialis muscle. It's getting some of the bicep, but it's putting more of that brachialis, that under muscle, as it puts that more at mechanical advantage. So, that's the muscle that helps give you width in your arm. I like this setup because you don't need really expensive equipment for it. This is just a couple, less than $1 for the padding. And then resistance bands are not very expensive for a good set of resistance bands. So if you want to get a set like I have links down below that are affiliate links that help support the channel. But if you have a set that works well for you, that's great too. And last one. So on all the exercises with the resistance bands, the thing I like about them is you get to choose which direction the band is pulling. So it takes a little bit of know-how then to actually know what direction should this band be pulling. But if you get it correctly set up, it lets you have more versatile exercises than dumbbells, because dumbbells only pull in one direction. They only pull with gravity. But the bands can pull any direction you can find an anchor for. So for this next exercise, I really like it because of that fact. For resistance bands, they can pull in any direction. So instead of just going only up and down, we can actually pull completely horizontal. So for this, I'm gonna put the band really high up, anchoring it up above my head. I'm gonna step forward till the band's pulling me straight back where my hands are behind my head, but I want my elbows to be tucked in. So from here, I'm gonna push out towards the front. This is called a skull crusher. So I'm really bringing those elbows up to lengthen this tricep muscle. You can see that piece of it right here. That long head of the tricep goes all the way from the elbow down into the shoulder. And that length and high tension really lets you build that muscle much more. So keeping that body up, don't drop it down like this. So you keep that tension on the tricep the whole time. And the more you keep those elbows in, the more that work is done by the triceps back here and not the chest in here. So it's more focused on the arms. So pulling out, pushing. You could also do this with a cable machine. If you have one or at a gym, but I find that a resistance band gives a great workout on this and also costs a lot less than cable machines do. Now, if you have one, totally fine to do this with cables as well. Set it up high, go overhead, and pull away from it. Oh, and relax. The important thing is to get your elbows way up high. And that was what's going to give you a great resistance on that movement. So I'm going to give my triceps a second to relax. And then I'm going to shift to a lighter weight for doing some shoulder deltoid. So arms, I kind of consider everything from the elbow to the shoulder working in this range. So I like to do some deltoid work with my arm for bicep and tricep. So to do that with resistance bands, again, I like the resistance band because you get to choose what direction it pulls. So for that, I'm going to step in the middle of the band. I'm going to do a lateral raise, but the trick with the band is instead of holding it like this, you're going to cross the band in front so that it's pulling at a diagonal. Now this, for me, has just felt like a much better exercise for the shoulders. I feel a lot more of that tension in my deltoid when I do this. So from here, you're going to lift up to the sides, up to about shoulder height, and then all the way back down. You should feel that tension through the entire movement. Now pointing your thumb straight towards the front. And relax. When I look at myself and what's going on down here, it throws me off because I think, oh, this side's higher than this side, but it's really not. It's just mirrored. So I gotta stop looking at myself in the camera. Which is probably a wise thing to do for many different reasons. All right, and going back to triceps, I like to do 2 sets of these per workout at least to maintain that muscle size. So, going high up with your elbows, bend those elbows as much as you can, and then so you're pulling, you should feel that tension in the triceps along here. So from here, chest up. Hey, hi B2, welcome to the live stream. We're doing some skull crushers with resistance bands. So pulling all the way, feeling that tension, chest up, head up, pushing out towards the front. Feeling that tension in your tricep. Move like this. So it's pushing out towards the front. I like this variation because you can actually do it standing horizontal, and the band lets you control what direction that force is pulling. Now, whether you're doing this with a band or a cable is another great option for this. It's a little bit more expensive, but definitely a very good option if you have access to it. I like that variation though for the tricep, putting high tension. Because as opposed to when you're doing triceps like this, doing a push down, you're putting that long head of the tricep under tension. And when it was studied, they found that actually caused more muscle growth. Having that elbow above the shoulder increased muscle growth dramatically compared to its the other variations, especially in that long head of the tricep. It's called the tricep because there are 3 parts to it. Tricep. There's a inner and middle and an outer section of the tricep, where it's medial, lateral, and long head. So that long head is that part that we're really tensioning by bringing that elbow up, and that's the largest piece of your tricep. So really, it's not saying that the other exercises are bad, doing a push down or a kickback, doing a tricep kickback like this, but they don't hit that long head nearly as much. So if you want the most out of a tricep workout, doing something more like a skull crusher with that overhead movement, or a tricep extension like this, would hit that long head much more effectively. All of these variations, we're trying to get the maximum tension in the lengthened position. So I want that band to be pulling directly away from my arm when in that lengthened position. So we're gonna finish up with one last set of deltoids for the shoulders. So staying straight and tall, band crossed in front of you, so it's pulling at a diagonal. And lifting up to the side. You should feel that tension all the way down to the bottom. So try and not let your arms sort of drop back down. Try and keep them out to the side all the way to the very bottom. So I'm not bringing them in front, I'm keeping them out to the side. That's gonna keep that tension the entire time. And 10. All right, so that was our workout for today. So focusing in on bicep especially, working some of the arms and shoulders. If you like these sort of workouts and want to see more, hit that like button for me. And if you subscribe, you can be here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific time to see these workouts live, to talk, to hang out, to just encourage each other to keep on going and work out, keep strong bones, strong muscles, and healthy bodies. So